what if shadows didn't exist? Ben, what do you got?
So I looked more at people, mostly people. And particularly, the thing I sort of started realizing very quickly was that it was going to be really, really hard in this shadowless world to sleep during the day. Because, like, today, if, you, for whatever reason, have to sleep during the day, you can, like, you pull close your curtains. If you do it a lot, you get, like, blackout curtains or one of those, like, sleep masks. And you can, do pretty well.
It'll just be bright all the time.
Exactly. But yeah, exactly. Curtains aren't going to do anything. Like, your ceiling isn't going to do anything because the light just goes through that, too. So it's just going to be like you're sleeping in the daylight all the time.
It's like you're sleeping outside, sort of.
Pretty much, yeah. So I was wondering if you can, like, adapt that, if it's just something that, like, feels weird and get used to it. But apparently, exposure to light actually, like, stimulates this nerve pathway in your eye that controls, like, the hormones and your body temperature and stuff that are part of what makes you feel sleepy or awake. So I guess there are people who can sleep in light, but it's not going to be as effective, and it's going to be just, like, a sort of bad, thing long term. It's not going to be great. So what are the effects of this? There's two real groups of people I realize are going to be really affected by this. First off, is going to be people who live either far north or far south. So, like, the Arctic or, like, down, Antarctica. So, obviously, with regards to daylight, those places have some weird shit going on. So there's a town, the northernmost town in Alaska, Barrow, has a stretch of 67 days of darkness in the winter and a stretch of 80 days of sunlight in the summer. So what I think is actually going to happen is that a place like that, even though it's going to be ludicrously cold, it's actually going to be like a vacation spot in the winter, just because you can go there and stay in a resort where basically the draw is you can sleep whenever the fuck you want, which I think is going to be very appealing to people.
It's dark.
Exactly. It's dark. You can just sleep whenever, which is cool. Those places, unfortunately, will also, I think, be basically uninhabitable during the summer because I just don't know a way around literally not having darkness for 80 days. There's just no coming back from that, I don't think. But in the winter, tourist money, so that's cool. And then the other group of people that are affected by this, and the first one I thought of and why I sort of wanted to go down this route, was people who work nights.
Like me. I work nights.
Yep, exactly. So, approximately 15 million Americans work full-time on either an evening shift, night shift, rotating shift, or some other, like, irregular schedule like that. Around 3 million or so of those are actual, like, graveyard shifts that are just, full-on night shifts. And a lot of times, the kind of jobs that these are like, hospital workers.
Yeah, nurses.
Yeah, exactly. People working at, like, plants that need constant maintenance / observation, things like that.
Graveyards.
Well, yeah. So when it comes down, there are like security type jobs that are less, vital. But a lot of the time, if people are working in a regular shift like this, it's because the thing they're working on is too important to stop it overnight. So we kind of want to make sure that they're still at pretty, peak performance as much as possible, I think. So generally people who have a schedule like this will, they'll work at night and they sleep in the day using blackout curtains or sleep mask or whatever. But you can't really do that anymore. So I looked into some ways you could get around this. So the first thing I thought of was sedation, which I know, yeah, that's a terrifying thing to start going down. It doesn't really work.
Just like the first thing I thought of was sedation. Always forefront in my mind.
Now we have that audio clip.
Yep, that's going to get played at my trial someday. It's going to be great. But yeah, the problem is sedation is not really a good long-term option because the way that, like, sedatives work is by just, when you go to sleep naturally, your brain just sort of, there's hormones and stuff that come out that make you fall asleep. Sedation basically just makes your brain work worse. It just slows down your brain activity until you fall asleep, which, one, it's fucking terrifying. And then, yeah, so while you're using them, you'll be sort of drowsy and muddled even while you're awake because you have this chemical doing that.
So it has, like, none of the benefits of sleep.
I mean, there's like, you get the physical benefit, and you technically do get the mental benefit to a degree, but the sedative will still sort of be in your system,
Okay.
So that seems kind of bad if you're a person who is, like, maintaining a nuclear power plant or something, or, a surgeon. or nurse or something. Seems pretty bad. The other issue is that after a few days, the body builds up a tolerance to sedatives. You start needing more.
Oh, important to know. I'll make a note of that one.
Yep, there you go. When you're planning things out.
It's a very educational segment right here.
Measure once, buy twice. That was a dumb joke. All right. But yeah, so obviously, sedatives are not going to be a good... My initial reaction was like, can you just like sedate people who have night jobs all the time? But no, you cannot. So I think you have really a couple of options. I think the one that makes the most sense, you start having to do like really weird, complicated schedule rotations where like you have, it's kind of like the way that nurses have where they'll do like, or, doctors have where they'll have like a 24-hour shift followed by, 24 hours off or whatever. Like you kind of have to do just stuff like that, but for everything that has to happen overnight.
Oh boy.
Which it's gonna get tricky when a lot of the jobs are, you're gonna need like twice as many people as you already have for them, basically. So
I just feel really bad for the guy who works at like the fucking 24-hour Taco Bell, who's like a 18-year-old kid who's been promoted to manager because like that it's not actually that big a jump, and like it's like, oh, you're in charge of the schedule, and he's like, okay, no problem, and he's like, oh wait, fuck.
Well, so I think that's
he
actually
has to do some complex calculus to get the kids over at Taco Bell.
On that note, I think that just like in terms of society, I think there's just a lot fewer places that are open 24 hours. And I think that people in general just all kind of maintain a much more regular sleep schedule because if you don't, you're kind of fucked. Because you're going to be waking up at like, whenever the sun comes up most likely because there's no way for it to really stop it. So I think everyone is kind of is like asleep at 10 and wakes up at 6. Just everybody.
There's just like an unspoken understanding. Pretty
much, yeah. Because if you don't, you're just going to be getting like 4 hours of sleep a night, and eventually you're going to start doing it because you're tired. So, yeah. So some fun societal changes too. Everyone just becomes like, suburban parents. So that's cool.
So I'm thinking about the way we set up our parameters. If technically the Earth would also on the dark side emit its light, then I realized,
oh, that's true.
The light coming in from the sun hits the one side like normal, and then the other side of the Earth, the sunlight is coming up from the ground.
I was gonna bring this up before, but I wanted Ben to get through his answer because it kind of shuts down his answer that it's always going to be daytime.
It is always going to be daytime.
Well, it's a different. I think it's just the type of interpretation that you do. Like, the interpretation is fine as it's light. There's no shadows, but there's still nighttime.
So fine. I can quickly amend my answer to if it's just always daylight everywhere. Hey, we all die of exhaustion.
Yay!
Cool.
Got a quick one in there.